Each evening throughout the heartland of America, farmers return home with increasing fear. Do not be afraid of drought, of debt, of illness, but of some foul hunter with eyes that glow in the dark. They strike silently. They outsmart traps. They take livestock right from under our noses. We're talking about coyotes, once a novelty, now well over 4.7 million strong, roaming free through fields, cities, and suburbs. What happened? How have we let these smart carnivores become one of the largest threats to our crops and ecosystems? We're here today to reveal to you the reality of the coyote crisis and what we have to do before it is too late. Coyotes did not exist everywhere. They once roamed the plains and deserts of the American West by themselves. But things did change. As human populations expanded westward, pushing out forests and pushing out larger predators such as wolves, mountain lions, and grizzlies, coyotes filled the vacuum. Instead of withdrawing in the presence of human habitation, they adapted to it. They prospered in the niches formed by planted fields, the detritus of expanding cities, and the lack of natural competition. They moved east, first into the Midwest, then onto the East Coast, and finally into Mexico and Canada. By the 1990s, they had occupied almost every nook and cranny of the continent. At first glance, coyotes are not very intimidating. They seem like long and thin dogs with big ears and bushy tails, but they are really fierce hunters. They take out the smallest sources of food first: lambs, chickens, calves, and goats. They attack household pets. Coyotes also attack leash dogs, steal cats from porches, and even chase children in suburban neighborhoods. According to USDA figures, coyotes are the cause of more than 65% of the total losses of livestock due to predation in the United States, a figure increasing ever higher. Combined, U.S. farmers lose over $100 million every year to coyote attacks. That's not statistics. That's money, food, and jobs disappearing kill by kill. So why can't we just reduce their numbers? It is where the crisis deepens. Coyotes possess a rather distinctive and eerie biological feature referred to as compensatory reproduction. The more you kill them, the more they will breed. Female coyotes give birth to more pups if their populations are threatened, 12 pups rather than the usual 4 to 6. They mature earlier and more often too, and the survivors establish themselves more rapidly in new habitats. Rather than population decline, they tend to get dispersed by killing them. It is due to this that huge state culling operations during the 20th century were unable to restrain the population. Rather, they made the issue even worse. Coyotes are not only effective breeders, they're also intelligent, capable predators. They learn from human behavior. A farmer putting up traps indicates that coyotes know to steer clear of them. When one of the members of the pack is hit with a bullet, the others are cautious, either hunting another time or along another path. They are normally solitary or hunt in very small family units. Occasionally, they employ decoys. One coyote decoys while the other attacks. They recall patterns, routines, wand eaknesses, and whereas wolves exist away from man, coyotes exist in his presence. Towns, suburbs, and factory districts all provide food, water, and shelter. They have been spotted crossing over crosswalks, riding subway tracks, and living in storm drains. This is not an invasion of the wilderness. This is an invasion of cities. Let us consider some real-life examples. A Texas family lost 14 goats in 1 week. The coyotes attacked them during the day when their owners were present. The California rancher put up electric fencing and lounged to observe the spectacle as coyotes jumped over it and pilfered 2 lambs in less than 30 seconds. In Illinois, a suburban town lost 7 cats in a month. No one suspected anything was amiss until a trail cam photographed the burglars, a 3-member coyote trespassing family using the Greenbelt as a freeway. In Montana, game wardens had been tracking a pack that had made an old grain silo their home for over 2 years, hidden, unbothered, and growing. Governments attempted to find a solution using violence for decades. Government authorities used aggressive eradication programs through the use of poisonous chemicals like Compound 1080 and cyanide bombs. Hunters were rewarded. packs were discovered and destroyed employing airplanes. Traps were placed over several hundred miles of farmland, but coyotes came back stronger. Each attempt at elimination only led to faster breeding and wider dispersal. Even to this date, there are some states that open unlimited hunting without a season, but there is no change in the coyote population. Why? Because they always survive, because they always adapt. This is not an infestation. This is a battle of intellect, and up until now, they're winning. Imagine having 8 months of sheep raising experience, nursing, feeding, and bottle feeding them, and waking up one day to find that half the herd had been slaughtered. To such a family, coyote attacks are not only infuriating, they are emotionally and financially devastating, and usually no one to call upon, no insurance, no pay. Another night of cocked guns, yelping dogs, and the query, will they return again? Ironically, we also require coyotes. Ecologically, coyotes regulate rodent populations, maintain deer populations healthy, and balance the smaller predators such as raccoons and foxes. If we were to eliminate coyotes, we could likely expect to have more populations of disease-transmitting mice, crop-destroying rabbits, and exotic scavengers. Studies in areas where coyotes were eliminated determined a higher prevalence of Lyme disease due to increased activity by mice and ticks. That's the double-edged sword of the crisis. We are not working with a very widespread pest. We have to deal with a keystone species designed to be necessary but horrific when it gets out of control. So what's the answer? And mostly, the best resolutions are those that thrive along with nature but never through it. Flattery and visual deterrence. Flags, streamers, flashing lights, and reflectors frighten and disorient coyotes away from sheep and cattle pens. Night corrals and electric netting. Keeping animals indoors at night within enclosures closed to the external environment reduces contact. Netting over burrows discourages burrowing. Hazing in urban life. Keeping coyotes on edge in human society by causing commotion. Using flashing lights or confronting them has the effect of reinstilling fear. Farmer cooperatives and education. Farmers are also banding together and making observations, tracking pack movement, and modifying grazing times. Most significantly, they do not create the population increase that arises from deadly elimination. They discourage conduct without inducing a breeding boom. It is time that the governments alter how they are handling the crisis. We need to stop wasting millions of dollars on unproductive predator control programs that science has already proven will not work. Instead, we should support research on non-lethal deterrents, subsidize fencing material and guard animals, install community-based alarm systems, educate the broader public, especially from the urban and suburban markets, educate wildlife officers in the technique of selective killing of actually dangerous animals rather than indiscriminate culling. We can't shoot bullets at this issue. Strategy, funds, and collaboration are needed. We picture them creeping over deserts or blending into forests when we think of coyotes. In fact, the most astonishing trend of recent years is the urbanization of coyotes. Urban areas such as Chicago, Los Angeles, Phoenix, and even New York City have become home to large, established populations of coyotes. Cities have even estimated the coyote population within the city at more than 2,000. They live in parks, under bridges, and even in burial grounds. They eat rodents, rubbish, pet food, and even pets. A study conducted in Chicago discovered that coyotes commute in the city at night along the sidewalk, the alley, and even crosswalks. They rest overnight and have learned to keep low-key in the hopes of evading people. Arizona police documented more than 80 coyote attacks on pets, sidewalk obstruction, and attacks on passersby in a month. Urban coyotes learn no fear of humans, and then attacks become a reality. Another problem is the fragmentation of the public. Others idealize coyotes as misjudged animals, crucial to nature's balance, and unfairly demonized. Others consider them to be pests that need to be eliminated. But the truth, as ever, lies halfway. We mustn't let feelings blind our reason. Coyotes are clever and good for the environment. They're also opportunistic predators that have and can inflict genuine harm on people, other animals, and crops. Here's the bad news. We're never going to eliminate coyotes. They're here to stay, and in so many ways, they've earned that survival. But that does not necessarily mean we cannot balance. There are places that are showing us how to live with them without harm. Boulder, Colorado. Wildlife officers implemented an education and hazing program that reduced human coyote contacts by more than 60%. In Oregon, farmers banded together to purchase motion-sensing deterrent systems as an investment and shared guard dogs over multiple properties, cut livestock losses in half. In Massachusetts, neighborhood watch groups in the area are now getting wildlife notifications, alerting each other when coyotes are seen so that parents can keep children in check and pet owners can remain vigilant. Technology is helping too. Trail cameras, GPS collars, motion sensors, and even artificial intelligence sensor systems are being tested to monitor coyote movement in real time. The road to cohabitation is learning, innovation, and positive action, not fear or retaliation. How did we get here? It's probably worth stepping back and asking. 100 years ago, we killed most of North America's apex predators, wolves, cougars, and bears, believing that it would make our country safer and more productive. But what we ended up building was a vacuum instead, and coyotes moved in. They exploited our lack of understanding of predator dynamics. We responded out of fear and not out of science. And we're seeing now the unintended consequences. The coyote crisis is a bigger lesson. Nature always manages to find a way, and when it does, it's not the way we might have wanted. That's why we need to think long-term so much. We need to have improved land management, science-based predator control, and public policy that considers the ripple effects of every decision. Otherwise, history will repeat itself, and the next animal to take its position might be even harder to live alongside. Subscribe for more dives and documentaries into the untold stories that are shaping our world. If you believe, we must stand up to our communities and to our farmers. As this video, share this with your neighbors, your town groups, your friends. Anyone who needs to know what's going on. Comment below with your local coyote stories. We read them all, and we care about your voice. And if you know a struggling farmer, share this video with them today. One solution at a time, together, we can fight for what matters.